You're saying that, and this is a method of raising additional equity capital. This is a method of raising additional equity capital by issuing ordinary shares, by issuing ordinary shares, by issuing ordinary shares to the existing shareholders, by issuing ordinary share to the existing shareholders at a price below, at a price below, at a price below, at a price below the market price, at a price below the market price, at a market below the market price. Full stop. This price is known as, this price is known as the offer price. This price is known as the offer price. Full stop. Can I write another paragraph? Let us see that. And the market price per share, the market price per share, the market price per share, the market price per share. After the rights issue announcement, the market price per share, after the rights issue announcement, after the rights issue announcement, but before the rights issue takes place, 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 is known as come right. MPS is known as come right. MPS is known as come right. MPS. First off, is determined as follows. Is determined as follows. Is determined as follows. So to get the come right market price per share, you take the market price per share before the rights issue, and then you have NPV per share. Take the NPS before the rights issue, then you add the NPV per share. Another paragraph, let us see that. The market price per share, the market price per share, the market price per share, after the exercise of the rights issue, the market price per share, after the exercise of the rights issue, after the exercise of the rights issue, is known as theoretical extract MPA, so denoted by PEX, known as theoretical extract in bracket PEX. It's determined as follows. It's determined as follows. So how do we get the theoretical extract? So take the current equity value, then you add the amount of the new funds to be raised through the rights issue, and then you divide the current number of ordinary shares, and then you add the number of new shares to be issued. And how do you get the number of new shares to be issued? To get the number of new shares to be issued, you just take the amount raised, and then you divide by the offer price, and by the offer price. You see that? The opportunity to buy one new share, the opportunity to buy one new share through rights issue, the opportunity to buy one new share through rights issue, is known as the rights. It's known as the rights. Is known as the right. So the opportunity to buy one new share through the rights issue is known as the right. Full stop. Then I to see that the number of the rights, the number of the rights, the number of the rights, the number of the rights is determined as follows. Is determined as follows. So how do we get the number of rights? Get the number of rights. You take the current number of ordinary shares, you divide by the new shares to be issued. Yeah, that's how you determine the number of rights. You take the existing number of shares or the current number of shares, you divide by the number of new shares to be issued. Yeah. Another point, you have to see that each right, each right, each right, each right has a value. Each right has a value attached to it. Each right has a value attached to it. Determined as follows. Determined as follows. Determined as follows. Determined as follows. So how do we get the value of the right? So we have three formulas we can use to determine the value of the right. You can take the market price per share, you deduct the theoretical X right, or to get the value of the right, you take the market price per share minus the offer price, you divide by the number of rights plus 1, or to get the value of the right, you can take the theoretical X right, you deduct the offer price, you divide by the number of rights. Now let's look at advantages of rights issue, advantages of rights issue, advantages of rights issue. Number one. It involves less flotation cost. 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 Since they are issued, since they are issued to the existing shareholders, who already knows the company, since they are issued to existing shareholders who already knows the company, Number two, it involves less formalities. It involves less formalities and administrative procedures. Less formalities and administrative procedures compared with the public offer. Number three, ownership ownership and control of the company, ownership and control of the company, ownership and control of the company will not be diluted, will not be diluted, will not be diluted, since shares are issued to the existing shareholders, since shares are issued to the existing shareholders, since shares are issued, since shares are issued to the existing shareholders. Another advantage, it increases the equity capital of the company. It increases the equity capital of the company. It increases the equity capital of the company. It increases the equity capital of the company, thereby reducing the gearing level, thereby reducing the gearing levels, thereby reducing the gearing level and financial risk, and financial risk, and financial risks. Another advantage, it enables shareholders, it enables shareholders to enjoy the discount, to enable the shareholders to enjoy the discount, being offered by the company, to enjoy the discount being offered by the company, being offered by the company. So those are some of the disadvantages why the company should issue the share to the existing shareholders. Now let's look at disadvantages. Disadvantages. Number one, if the shares are not correctly valued, if the shares are not correctly valued, if the shares are not correctly valued, comma, shareholders may end up paying amount above true value. Shareholders may end up paying amount above the true value, amount above the true value. Another disadvantage. If the shareholders ignores the rights issue, if the shareholders ignores the rights issue, comma, his percentage of ownership reduces. His percentage of ownership reduces. Yeah, so those are some of the advantages and the disadvantages. So now let's look at options. Options during rights issue. Options during rights issue. So first of all, let me explain. Now, during the rights issue, you as a shareholder, you have three options. Number one, you can exercise the rights issue. Yeah, to exercise that means in this case, you take back, you buy the shares. Number two, another option you have is to sell the rights. To sell the rights, that means that you take up the rights because the company is selling to you at a discount, and then you sell the shares to an open market at the market price per share. And then lastly, you do nothing or you ignore. So during the right issue of a shareholder, those are the three options you have. Exercise the right issue, that means you take part of the rights issue. Number two, you sell the rights. That means you take up the share at a discount and then you sell them at the right price, right? Or you can just ignore, you just wait for the rights issue lapse. So would like to see that? During rights issue, comma, shareholder We'll have three options. Shareholders will have three options. We'll have three options as follows. Three options as follows. Number one, exercise the rights issue. Number one, you exercise the rights issue. Exercise the rights issue. Then you explain to that. In this case, the shareholder will acquire the rights issue shares. The shareholder will acquire the rights issue share and keep them. The rights issue share and keep them. Good. Number two, another option is sell the rights. You see that? In this case, comma, the shareholder will acquire the rights issue share. The shareholder will acquire the rights issue share at an offer price. Will acquire the rights issue share at an offer price. And sell them to an open market. Good. Then the third option, do nothing, stroke ignore. That is that. In this case, comma, the shareholder will not participate. The shareholder will not participate in rights issue activities. Yeah, those are the three options you have during the rights issue. Then we write another paragraph. When evaluating the above three options, the alternative, comma, the investor stroke shareholder should consider semicolon a percentage of ownership before and after the rights issue. Percentage of ownership before and after rights issue. And number two, world status before and after the rights issue. The world status before and after the rights issue. Good. So now let's do some illustration from the handbook. Handbook page 6, question 1. Number one, whatever. Laura Limited intent raised 25 million to finance the new project through the rights issue. The project has a 10-year economic life with no salvage value and is expected to generate cash inflows of 73, 72 to 80 per annum. The company has 4 million issued shares. The cost of capital is 15%. And before the announcement of the rights issue, the market price per share was 18 shillings. Required, the combined market price per share. Read that question again. So we need to get the term right. Market price per share. So that the term right market price per share is the market price per share after the announcement of the right issue, but before the rights issue takes place. And how determine that? We take the market price per share before the rights issue, then we add NPV per share. And to get the net present value is the present value of cash inflows. You raise the present value of cash outflows. So to get the present value of cash inflow, we are told that we'll have a 10-year project which will generate an annual cash flow of 73, 72 to 80. And then you discount present value interest factor of an annuity. The cost of capital is 15%, and the project is for 10 years. So you have 73, 72 to 80. 15% for 10 years. Sorry? 8 point? Mm-hmm. 5.0? 188. So give me that. That is 6. Sorry? That is 7 million. So that's the present value. So this is the present value of cash inflow, but we need to get the NPV. So we deduct the present value of cash outflow, of which we're investing 25 million. Therefore, we have a net present value of 12 million. But what we need is the NPV per share. So to get the net present value per share, I will take the total NPV, you divide by the number of shares. So the total NPV we have is 12 million, and we have 4 million shares. And therefore, you get 3 shillings. So therefore, come right market price per share. You take the market price per share before the rights issue, which was 18 shillings, and then we add the NPV per share, which is 3 shillings. Therefore, the come right market price per share will be an amount of 21. Good. Can copy? Question number 2. Musica Limited is an all equity financed. So that means the company is ungeared. So there is no debt in the capital structure. So Musica Limited is an all equity finance with a market capitalization of 720 million. So market capitalization, that means that's the current value of the equity. Because if they are all equity finance, that means there is no debt. So that 720 is the value of the company, which is the same as the value of equity. Value of company is the same as value of equity. It's 720 million since they don't have any debt in the capital structure. The company takes risk 120 million through the rights issue to finance a new project. The current market price per share of the company prior to the announcement of the right issue is 30 shillings. The proposed offer price is 25. Good. So that means how many shares do we have? Current number ordinary shares. So currently our equity value is 720 million. We divide by the current market price per share, which is 30 shillings. So how many shares do we have? You get? That's 24 million. Then we can be able to determine the number of new shares to be issued, so that you will take the amount raised to divide by the offer price. And the amount raised, we need to raise 120 million at an offer price of 25 shillings. Sorry? 4.8 million shares. Second paragraph. The new project is expected to generate cash inflows of 16.8 million per annum to perpetuity. For the year just ended, the company paid dividend per share of 2.83. That is DO. They paid a dividend of 2.83. The project cash flow and dividend per share have a growth rate of 6% per annum. G, it's 6%. So therefore, we can use this information to get the cost of capital. Remember, so that the cost of equity of an geared firm is the same as its WACC. And to get the cost of equity, it's DO 1 plus G over PO plus G. Where DO we have is 2.83, 1 plus the growth rate, 0.06. PO, how much the current market price per share? And then you add the growth rates. Give me that in percentage. Sorry? 16%. Good. Required. The CAMRIGHT market price per share. So number one we get CAMRIGHT market price per share. How do you get the CAMRIGHT market price per share? So you say that you take the market price per share before the rights issue, and then you add NPV per share. So you need to get NPV. NPV is the present value of cash inflow. You raise the present value of cash outflow. To get the present value of cash inflow, so we are given the expected cash flow. Read at the second paragraph. The new project is expected to generate cash flows of 16.8 million per annum to perpetuity. So to get the present value of cash inflow, the same as getting present value of an annuity to perpetuity, which is A over R. So we have the annuity, which is 16.8 million. We divide by R. R is the cost of capital, which is 16 So how much will be the present value of cash inflows? 105 million. Good. So therefore, to get NPV, you take the present value of cash inflow, which is 105 million, you minus the present value of cash outflow. How much is the present value of cash outflow? So investing 120, and you have negative 15 million. So therefore, we need to get the NPV per share. To get the NPV per share, we take the total NPV, you divide by the number of shares. So the total NPV we have is 15 million negative, you divide by the number of shares. How many shares do we have? 24. Yeah, we have 24 million shares. Good. So we get negative 0.625. Yeah, 625. Good. So therefore, to get the come right, market price per share, you take the market price per share before the rights issue, which was 30 shillings, and then you add NPV per share, which is negative 0.625. They will get 29.37. Yeah, 71. So that will be the market price after the rights issue announcement, but before the rights issue takes place. Number two. The number of rights. So we determine the number of rights. So that to get the number of rights, you take the existing or the current number of ordinary shares, you divide by the number of new shares to be issued. So currently we have 24 million shares. We divide by the new shares to be issued, which is 4.8 million. So what do you get? Not 5 million, but 5 shares. Yeah, we get 5. So what does that mean? So that means that for every 5 shares you have an opportunity to buy 1 new share. So for every 5 shares you have, you buy 1 new share. That's what we mean by the number of rights. Number 3, the theoretical X-rate MPS. So how do you get the theoretical X-rate? Now, the theoretical X-rate, you see that is the market price per share after the rights issue has taken place. Yeah, the right issue, since now we have issued more shares, it will affect the market price per share. Now, how do we get the theoretical X-rate? So to get the theoretical X-rate, that you take the current equity value then you add the amount of new funds to be raised through the rights issue, then you divide by the current or the existing number of ordinary shares plus the number of new shares to be issued. And that's how we get the theoretical X-rate. So therefore, to get our theoretical X-rate, you take the current equity value, which is 720 million, plus the new funds to be raised, which is 120 million. You divide by the current number of ordinary shares, which is 24 million, plus the number of new shares to be issued, which is 4.8 million. So that's how we get the theoretical X-rate. 29.17. So that's how we determine the theoretical X-rate. Or alternatively, to get the theoretical X-rate, you can use the number of rights. You can use the number of rights, of which it's 5 shares. What does it mean? We're saying that for every 5 shares you have an opportunity to buy 1 new share. So that means that for every 5 shares you have, each at a current market price of 30 shillings, you have an opportunity to buy 1 new share, but now the 1 share you're buying at an offer price of how much? Of 25 shillings. So for every 5 shares you have each at 30, you buy 1 new share at an offer price of 25. So now determine the value of the stock. So 5 shares each at 30, you get 150. Then 1 share each at 25, 1 times 25, you get 25. So the value of the stock will be 175 made up now of 6 shares. So then you get the average. Now that average is what we call theoretical X, right? You take the total value, which is 175 shillings, then you divide by the number of shares to get the average. So how much is that? 29.17. So it's another way of determining the theoretical X rate. You use the number of rights. But for every 5 shares you have, each at that shilling is the current market price. You buy 1 new share at an offer price of 25. Lastly, number four. The value of each right. So how do you get the value of each right? So go give the formula on how to get the value of the right. So that's to get the value of the right, you take the market price per share minus the theoretical X rate, which will be the market price per share is 30 shillings. The theoretical X rate we have is 29.17, and you get 0.83. Or to get the value of the right, you take the market price per share minus the offer price, you divide by the number of rights plus 1. So the market price per share is 30 shillings, you minus the offer price of 25 shillings. Number of rights we have is 5 shares, we add 1. 5 over 6, 0.83. Or to get the value of right, you can also take the theoretical X right, you minus the offer price, and then you divide by the number of rights. Whereby the theoretical X right we have is 29.17. You minus the offer price of 25 shillings. You divide by the number of rights, which are 5 shares. 0.83. So those are the very formula you can use to determine the value of the right. Good. So you can copy now.